Hello, this is Gene. I want to talk about something that was reported a couple days ago. Mark Hamill, Luke from Star Wars, had an interview in Ireland, and I guess it was a French reporter that was there. But I'll leave down a link to the actual interview. He said some things that I think that we all knew. Just knowing that, I think that Mark Hamill is just having a big issue now with his portrayal of the Last Jedi. And I just want to talk about how this actually can relate to the alt-right. And there's some parallels of what's happening in Star Wars, what's happening in the West, and how it's in fact impacted, let's say, the Western culture like us, the white people, let's say. So I'm going to get into that and see if this is actually an opportunity to wake up more people to our cause, let's say. So I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, I was 12 years old when the first movie came out in 1977. It was sold out almost all the time, and I had to wait. It'd been out about 6 months, and I finally got to go. Finally got to go see it, and the theater was still was still full that day. Back then, they only had one theater that would show the game or show the movies. Actually, the first 3 or 4 months, I think there were 2 theaters that would show it, and the multiplex just had started at that time. So you still had drive-ins, and you still had one places where you could go see a movie. When I saw Jaws, I think Jaws came out in '75. Was one place that had it, and I remember waiting. I mean, it was a huge theater too. It was like 500 people could live in, or bigger. I mean, or 1,000. And I remember the line was down the street, and it was that way with Star Wars as well. Well, you didn't have many theaters that could show it. So even though it has not grossed as much as everybody in history, I think it's still in the top 10. If they had more theaters, that would have obviously drawn more. So we finally got to see it, and I fell in love with it. I still believe the first movie, Episode 4, is the best. I know a lot of people think that Empire is the best. I don't. I guess I'm weird that way. I think the first Alien movie is the best of all of them too. You know, if you look, I mean, obviously there's more action in the second movie. Maybe people think that that's why it's reviewed a little bit better than the first movie. I don't know. But anyway, the new movie comes out a couple years ago, The Force Awakens. Decent attempt. It opened enough avenues that they could go with it. Obviously, Rey was too powerful to Mary Sue. All that stuff was talked about back then. It was all valid back then. But I still gave the movie about a 7 out of 10. And I thought it opened up to a different. Like, you go to the new generation. You want to do that. You want to pass the torch to the next generation. And unfortunately, Disney is SJW, so you're going to have people from different cultures and stuff. So it's kind of like how the world is right now. It's the global society against people in the West that wanted to preserve themselves. So the new movie comes out. When it came out, before it came out, there was trailers on it, and one of the first things that you saw was Kyle Ren saying, "Forget the past, kill it, burn it, whatever." I don't know the entire quote, but here I was waking it up about the alt-right, which I already was in it kind of. I was researching it and saying there's something here. There's obviously a problem in the West when it comes to white replacement rates and immigration and all that stuff. So I was aware of it, and very aware of it when this video came out, this trailer came out, and I was like, well, what is he talking about there? Forget about the past. So he didn't really know until the movie came out, and I didn't go see the movie, all right? Because sometimes in a trailer, you'll get, it won't be in the actual movie. And it's a couple times that's happened in Star Wars. But I don't know. I haven't seen the movie, but I did, when the movie came out, and all the critics were saying it was great, and all of a sudden you started hearing underpinnings that there was something else going on here. Now, it's not from the alt-right perspective. There have been a couple people that talked about how the alt-right, or how feminism basically killed Luke. I was one of those people. I didn't get a whole lot of views on that one, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Everybody knows that there was an agenda for this movie. They pretty much said it in the going up to the movie release. So But the interesting thing is that I found a guy who actually went to the entire movie, and he had a bootleg copy of it. I don't know if he got it from. I don't know. A lot of people do this stuff. They go there. It looked like it was somebody went in a theater and actually take a picture of it. So he went to the entire movie, and because he just hated what they did with it, and the whole thing with Leia being Mary Poppins and getting back to the whatever. But the idea was what they did to Luke in this thing. After they had just killed Han Solo in the first movie. Now, obviously, if Harrison Ford says, I wanted to die and I don't want to do this anymore, it's kind of hard not to allow that to happen. And I guess the Roman tragedy type of thing is have the son kill the father. I mean, that's been done forever, so whatever. But the idea is what they did and how they destroyed Luke's character arc to from a man when he grew up was a little kind of like a whiny teenage bitch. Then he matured and became basically the most optimistic person in the entire Rebel Alliance. He was the person that thought that he could change his dad, who had killed millions of people, billions maybe, and we have some little birds around here just walking in, probably looking for stuff to eat. But anyway, so he's the most optimistic person in the world. So going back to the first movie in the new trilogy, it's like nobody knew about the Force. Rey didn't know anything about it. Nobody knew. It was like stories. And I'm like, so I'm going back to what Kylo now said about think about the past or kill the past. This is 30 years later, and nobody knows what they did. They didn't know. There should be stories. It should be lauded. It should be like, these all should be celebrities. They should be, I don't know, maybe, I mean, you don't really see an internet in Star Wars. But how could they forget what they did, how they saved the galaxy from this totalitarian type of regime that the Empire had? Now, a lot of people still think that in the final analysis that the Empire were the good guys. There are people that have that idea. I don't think that Lucas really believed that. But there are people that says if you turn it around, it's kind of like the whole thing with Karate Kid, that it wasn't really the guy that was looked at as a villain wasn't really the villain. Ralph Macchio was, but I'm digressing. So anyway, we have this idea that nobody knew that this was going on. And it's like everybody, oh yeah, I've seen strange things. This is 30 years later, after billions of people being killed. Then everybody just forgot about it. Now I get it. The galaxy is huge. It's possible there are parts of the galaxy that is not that know what's going on. But you would think that these little stories would go through and people would know this shit. So that right there, they started to destroy the mythos of what the original characters did. And then the second movie comes along and it says we have to kill the past. We have to kill it. So, which they did. They killed Han Solo. They killed Luke Skywalker, and not because they wanted to, since Leia died in real life. Now, realistically, they killed her as well. So, before all the stuff we talk about the alt-right and how I think that it can actually help the alt-right, the original sin of the second or this trilogy is that we never got to see those characters on the same in the same scene together. How could you possibly do? How could they do this through two movies and never have them on the same screen together, talking to each other or having this reunion or anything? How could they not do this? The reason why the first movie, The Force Awakens, made so much money is because it was the first Star Wars movie in 10, 15 years, whatever. And some people liked it, and the younger generation went back there over and over again, so it made $2 billion. This last movie is not doing anything, is not doing well at all in comparison. I think Black Panther has actually went past it. So how could any Marvel movie actually go past Star Wars? It's stupid. It shouldn't happen. The built-in box office that they had was there, and they used it. And J.J. Abrams, as much as what you want to say about him, all he did was just reboot A New Hope. And he was safe about it, but he allowed things to we can go from there. And now J.J. Abrams is trying to fix everything for the next movie. But the whole thing that this interview that Mark has had, and we've seen several videos of him where he looks like a broken man. before the premiere of the movie in Los Angeles, he looked like he was ready to go. He obviously had not seen the finished print. He hadn't seen it. Even though he knew that his character dies in the movie, he had not seen it. And he came out of that movie and he looked like his mom had died. Now, clearly, I think this was right around after Leia died as well. So, I mean, there's some emotions that was going there. But every 6 months, 6 weeks, we're getting a little bit more from him. And now we're getting more and more where he talks about the fans. And then we allowed Rian Johnson to just decide what he wants to do with the movie. And all he can do as an actor is just do the best he can do. He said he was talking to Lucas all the time about this, that they're friends. And they talk about episode 11 or 7 and 8 all the time. And you can just hear the anguish in his voice. And not just because he wants to cater to the fans. He knows that the story arc of happened to Luke is what's happening in the West with white men. It is. And it's almost like this movie is just trying to show it, push it down our throat even more. And by doing this, I think it's going to wake up even more people to whatever our cause is. Just to wake up the white man. Just to say, you see what's going on right here. You're being blamed for everything, and we don't care if you survive. There is this idea that our past doesn't mean anything, that only the good things, only thing we want to talk about our past is what apparently we did that were bad during that time, not the good things that we did, that we changed all this stuff. So all I can think is that how can we take this and revitalize the movement, let's say. There is so much in the movie that shows that the movie is just is pushing to a globalist idea. The rebel is multiculturalism, let's say, and the empire is almost all white people. It's like it's clearly showing that the white people are the bad people, and everybody of different colors and different genders, gay or whatever, are the good people. Regardless of what they're doing is actually a good thing, because there are a lot of people who will say that the rebels were terrorists. It depends on what side of history you're on. What is considered terrorism? People in Syria and Iraq would say the people in the United States are terrorists. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I'm just saying that it depends where you're at. And I realize it's just a movie, but you're talking about an iconic figure in modern art, movies, that talks about being a slobbering little bitch boy and seeing his potential, and in his 20s, saving a galaxy, redeeming his father. Clearly had to be at the end of the Return of the Jedi. He was so happy. Him and Leia and Han. How can you not have them together at some point in this series? And you can't do it now because Leia died after clearly from depression or tragedy after her mom died. I mean, they were setting it up for her to probably to save the day at the end, because that's what this whole agenda thing was going, that the whole universe now is female. The Force is female, and this is the parallels that you see online all the time that are they're saying that white people, it's their fault, and if they can't reproduce, that's on them. It's white people do this, and but I'm not white, I'm Jewish, and you see all this time on the internet all the time. These guys have Jew check marks. They're in the media. They walk around the town like they're white because I guess they think they get some sort of privilege for it. But when they're called out, they says, wait, I'm not white. I have nothing. I have no responsibility for what our foreign policy has been. I'm a Jew. Okay, so what? It's like, what is going on here? And we allow this to happen, and there's a parallel between that and what's going on in this trilogy. It's like all the white men, if they clearly are white. I mean, I don't know everybody that's actually been killed in the movie have actually been white. Some of them probably were Jewish. They look like they're white, but their authority is questioned, usually by another female. The whole movie is basically emotional, basically like from a female point of view. it's a weird thing that goes on. Diversity for no reason, just to do it. So what we could try to do here, I don't know if anybody would want to do it, somebody that could talk better than me, that says how it paralyze, I can't say the word. There's something going on here, and it's out there. They will say online that white people are bad, and they do it freely. Nobody ever says they're going to lose their freedom of speech, and it's happening in Star Wars. And why would anybody like me, somebody that saw it when it first came out when I was a kid, why would I go watch this now? And that's why I didn't go this last time. I'm not somebody that has 800 figures of Star Wars. There are a lot of people right now that are huge Star Wars guys, even younger than me, that are just, they think the whole thing is an abomination. And they talk about what I talk about, but they're like Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill, I don't think he's been red-pilled, but I think he's seeing some of the light here. And it's kind of like Shatner. These guys are up there at the top of that rabbit hole, but they won't go down further on and say why. Who's pushing this down? Why are we even talking about this? Of course, Mark Hamill is like, I want women to do well. I want other minorities to do well, but it's got to be. It's like the guy's still alive, and you're just destroying him. His characteristic that's him. It really is. Now, yes, it's fictional, but still, he is known for this, and you could see the hurt in his eyes. And I look at that man and I say, this is how a 60-year-old man feels right now. The West has left him behind, and this is one of the reasons why Trump got elected, because we have just taken away the value for men in the West, especially white men. And it's a different type of issue in the black community. There's a problem with valuing black men as well. But this is really more, I mean, what happens in the movie here? The strong black man is basically an afterthought, and somebody who's comic relief. To me, it's more racist than anything else. Why can't Finn just be something more powerful like Poe or something else? I mean, why does he have to be the comic relief? I mean, this is what they've done for everything in Hollywood forever. So anyway, I would have rather him to be the Last Jedi. I would be 100% okay with that than Rey, who we know nothing about. And now there's apparently something coming out now. They're trying to save the trilogy and say that at the end of the day that Luke is really her father, that he was married to somebody else, and their marriage went downhill. See, this is the same thing. Leia and Han got together, had a kid, but they couldn't stay together. Apparently, we're going to have the same thing about Luke. So the next movie, well, he's not even going to be there. We're just going to be shitting on him because he wasn't a good father. And he doesn't realize through his force, whatever, that that's his daughter. Now, if that comes out, whatever they want, I'm not going to go see it. But there's something here that needs to be discussed, that Star Wars is given an opportunity to educate people who go to see this. My daughter still thinks it's a good movie. And it's strange to me because I raised her on this. Every Christmas we did the entire thing. She understands the mythos. And she's like, yeah, I don't like what they did to Luke. Well, that should be a reason why to say there's something wrong here. And yeah, it's just a movie, but there's something more, because when they come out there, when Kathleen Kennedy comes out and says all this stuff and says we're going to do what we're going to do, when J.J. Abrams says I'm a feminist, so I have to do this, and you have to understand where that ideology comes from and who started all this shit, and it takes you down that rabbit hole and you understand who's pushing all this stuff, and that's our enemy. I hate to say it, but it clearly is. Not all of them, okay? But the persons that are pushing that up in Hollywood or in the Middle East or all that stuff needs to be called out. And we can use this movie to raise it, because we've already been vilified in the movie saying that the Empire is all Nazis. And all Nazis are the alt-right anyway. So we're already being vilified in the movie no matter what. But we should push it around. Somebody better than me can just push it around and say, this is how we can wake up millions of more people to our cause. And our cause has never been to stop any other races to do what they want to do. This is all about preserving the white race, Western culture, and what we give to this world. Yesterday, the day before, The Way of the World came out of the video. I'll put that below as well. That he talks about this, and this is what we need to do. And through my small amount of subscribers base, if somebody sees this, somebody can articulate better than I can, that go through the movie and say this is what's happening, and we need to fight against this. We should support movies that looks at our past from a not a flattering type of point, but a point which shows the greatness of what we've done. There have been some of them in the past. I mean, there are a lot of World War II movies, all that stuff that showed it, but we forget making. We stop making those movies, and then when they come out, Mel Gibson came out, Heartbreak Ridge, whatever, about the guy that wouldn't take a gun in battle and saved all these people. Now, it did great. It had great reviews. He didn't get nominated. The movie did not get nominated. I think the actor got nominated, but these are the type of ones that we should promote. And so this shows our culture can do when the shit is going against us. Now, of course, we were fighting in World War II and the whole brother wars and all that stuff. That we understand that, okay, and that those are fair points to bring up. But at the time, the guys did what they had to do to save this country. In their mind, the government said we had to save our country, and these guys went out there and they gave their life so we could have what we have right now. So that's all I have to say today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Share this. Find somebody out there that can actually look at this, put it together. I can't do it. My brain won't let me. And just say how we can use the Star Wars fiasco, because it was, and how it relates to the alt-right, because there's a message here that could help us in the long term. Thank you for watching, and it's raining, so this is Florida. It's nice to have rain now.